We had a bunch of prospect promotions recently. Who's next? We'll discuss on Fantasy Baseball Today Express. Welcome into FBT Express on Saturday, April 26th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. The top prospects to stash right now includes Logan Henderson of the Brewers, Zebby Matthews of the Twins, Roman Anthony of the Red Sox, Bubba Chandler of the Pirates, and another new addition here, Scott, Jordan Lawlar of the Dbacks, who I know has been hitting pretty well down in the minors.
Yes, he has. Let's start with the pitchers at the top, Logan Henderson and Zebby Matthews, who are they're at the top of the list, but they're like they're not the caliber of prospects as the other three, right? Especially Logan Henderson, who wasn't on any major top 100 list coming into the season, but that kind of shows the nature of stashing prospects. Like it does, particularly given the way starting pitching is on the waiver wire right now, not a ton that's interesting. It takes just that one start from Logan Henderson for me to say, yeah, you got to hold on. 9 strikeout effort in his season debut on April 20th. And this was for a guy who had a ridiculous strikeout to walk ratio in the minors last year. Doesn't throw especially hard, which I think is part of the reason why he hasn't gotten much prospect hype, but low release height on that fastball helps it play up, and the changeup is great too. We saw him get whiffs on both in that major league debut, and I suspect he'll be back with the Brewers in short order. Zebby Matthews, I might need to move him down the list a little bit now that David Festa has been optioned to the minors with Pablo Lopez coming back. So I would imagine if Festa got the shot over Matthews this time, he probably will next time. But Matthews continues to do his thing in the minors. Elite control guy whose velocity is up a couple miles per hour this year. We saw him get more strikeouts this spring. It's carried over to the minors. And at some point, I would think the Twins would move on from Simeon Woods Richardson. But it's starting to feel a little less like Matthews' arrival is imminent just because they got a big arm back there in Lopez. Anthony, I could hear the case for Anthony probably actually being the top prospect to stash because he's the top prospect in baseball, and you'll definitely want him on your roster the day he's announced. I don't know that we're at a point where that's imminent. Of course, an injury could change things. I feel like with the first injury, given the versatility for Christian Campbell and for Ceddanne Rafaela, the first injury could be Anthony's ticket to the majors. But he's been dealing with an injury himself, actually, a shoulder issue that he's been able to play through as a DH. He recently moved back into the outfield, but then he was out of the lineup again back at DH the next day. So I don't think the Red Sox are going to call Anthony up until they're confident he's ready to play the outfield, because obviously they have Rafael Devers occupying the DH spot. So that's not an option for Anthony in the major leagues. Bubba Chandler, I had been hoping he was building up to arrive around May 1st, but a recent quote from GM Ben Cherington has me thinking they're not going to be quite that aggressive with him. Cherington said the hopeful outcome is that he's helping us win games in 2025 at some point. When that happens, we don't want to shut that down, and so we're managing that volume a bit early in the season by keeping him on certain pitch counts while he's in AAA. Basically what we expect. Back to the quote. At some point, that will start to build, probably once we get into May, etc. Then start to build closer to a normal starter's pitch count. At that point, we'll see where we are. So it sounds like he's talking about Chandler remaining in the minors into May. Will he be up mid-May? That's about when we saw Paul Skeens called up last year. So maybe that's the hope. And then finally, Jordan Lawlar. He has been killing it at AAA, just in every possible way. And it seems like he's overdue for a promotion anyway. If not for his injuries last year, he'd probably already have a job in the majors. The problem is Ketel Marte is about to come back. He's like a week away maybe from returning, if that. And once that happens, Obviously, Lawlar can't play second. Also, Tim Tawa, who's currently filling in for Ketel Marte, he's suddenly picked things up at the plate, and his numbers, whether the baseline or especially the underlying numbers for Tim Tawa, look great. So he deserves continued opportunity still. I'm beginning to think Jordan Lawlar's best path to a major league job is third base, where Eugenio Suarez can't buy a hit right now. And obviously, he's in the last year of his contract, so the Diamondbacks don't have a long-term attachment to him. I don't think we're there yet, as good as Suarez was in the second half last year. I don't think they're going to turn the page on him so easily. But I don't really see where Lawlar fits otherwise.
All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with more prospects right after this. Welcome back in FBT Express. Some prospects that are making some noise lately. Braden Montgomery, an outfielder with the White Sox, came over in the Garrett Crochet trade from the Red Sox. Moises Ballesteros, a catcher with the Cubs. Nolan McLean, a starting pitcher with the Mets. Ryan Waldschmidt, an outfielder with the Dbacks. And Sean Lignon, a pitcher with the Dodgers. Scott, any quick thoughts here?
Yeah, so Braden Montgomery basically doing exactly what everyone hoped he'd do. He was the 12th overall pick in last year's draft, but had an ankle injury and didn't debut, then got traded from the Red Sox to the White Sox in the Garrett Crochet deal. So there was a lot riding on him before he ever played a professional game, but it's gone spectacularly so far. He looks like the real deal, does Braden Montgomery. Moises Ballesteros, Cubs catcher at AAA. A lot of hype around the bat, and it continues to play up. Average and max exit velocities both improved at AAA this year. Great contact skills. He is a short and squatty guy who probably can't play anything but catcher. And now they got Carson Kelly crushing it in addition to Miguel Amaya. So I don't know what his path is, but Moises Ballesteros' prospect stock continues to rise. Nolan McLean, this was a two-way player for the Mets his first couple years in the minors, gave that up midway through last year, and now his stuff is playing up at AA. Variety of breaking balls, a sweeper that comes in at almost 3,000 RPM. Looks like there's high-end upside here for Nolan McLean. Could emerge as a top pitching prospect for the Mets. Ryan Waldschmidt, another draft pick from last year, 31st overall, stood out for his exit velocities and his batting eye, and so far he's reached base at nearly a 500 clip and has hit several home runs already in the chilly air of the Northwest League. So Waldschmidt is also looking like he needs to move up to AA because the skill set definitely appears to be there for him. And finally, Sean Lignon of the Dodgers, signed as a 17-year-old. He's 20 now, his first year in full season ball, so he's kind of hidden away in the lower minors. We haven't heard much about Sean Lignon. But oh my goodness, he is striking out like two batters an inning. He's throwing 70% of his pitches for strikes, walking nobody. And the key to his arsenal, Sean Lignon, is a changeup that has a spin rate of like 2,700 RPM for a changeup. Normally that's like a 1,700 RPM pitch. And you don't necessarily want a ton of spin on it, but when you have that much spin, like that's basically a Devin Williams kind of changeup for Sean Lignon. So you can understand why he's striking so many hitters in A-ball with great control too. And the Dodgers' knack for developing every kind of player, pitchers or hitters. I think Sean Lignon could be a name to know here in Dynasty Leagues moving forward.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to our full-length podcast, Fantasy Baseball Today, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today Express, and we will be back again next week. Bye-bye.